Greetings, YouTube. Let's talk about male flight. Now, some folks have heard of white flight. White flight takes is something that happens when minority groups become the majority population. White people often flee those territories, and then the property values are devalued because now the white people have left. And of course, the financial institutions value the white dollars a hell of a lot more than they value the non-white dollars. But there's also a phenomenon known as mail flight. Now, I'm going to poke a piece of an article I saw here, and if I remember correctly, I will post a link to it. This was from Celeste Davis, October 6, 2024, and talking about the fact, giving an example. So take a veterinary school, for example. In 1969, almost all veterinarian students were male at 89%. By 1987, male enrollment was equal to females at a 50-50 split. By 2009, male enrollment in veterinary schools had plummeted to 22.4%. And they checked it for every 1% increase uh, in a group, veterinary school, for example, there are 1.7% fewer males joining in. That's fascinating. Not only does this mean that there are fewer men in the industry, but the men begin to devalue socially those jobs. But society begins to devalue those jobs. Those jobs begin to stagnate, as their financial rewards and as other industries surpass them. Why? Because the majority of the people in those are now women. And we as a society, all of us, we as humans, devalue women when it comes to their contribution to society, which is twisted. Um, but this is also one of the reasons that there are fewer men enrolling in colleges for the same reason. When the female percentage got to a certain point, men started leaving, and then they also began to speak out about how unnecessary college was, how it wasn't required, that they began to deride college as being a negative experience. And you get the folks like the Jordan Petersons of the world talking about the terrors of the current liberal bastions of college campuses with derision because of this issue. The male flight has had an effect on this, and this can be seen across hobbies and industries and institutions. Men leave when women join because, by and large, men have really frigging fragile egos. And when they are no longer viewed as the predominant people in charge, they don't want to be involved. Additionally, and this is research which they have done repeatedly, men overestimate the number of women in a group. So if there's 100 people in a room and 30% of them are women, some of the men in that room, when you ask them how many women are in this room, will tell you there's 60%. They are literally seeing twice as many women in the room than that exist, even though the men are 70% of the friggin' room. Because after women get through past a certain threshold, they begin to feel that it is no longer their space. And this could be a comic book store or tabletop role-playing games or board games or things like this, even though we know that women buy comics, women play these games at like 50-50 rates. But men perceive them as taking over, or I don't feel comfortable in my own hobby anymore because all these women are there. They begin to deride their own hobbies and they flee to something else because their perception, because of their fragile male egos, will not let them accept that, everybody should be able to play in any particular industry, in any particular hobby, at any particular institution, and you shouldn't be, you know, downplaying the importance of those institutions just because women make up half the people that go there. And if you feel the need to flee from them, that's on you. And if you then deride the importance of those institutions, that's also on you. You are just projecting your own insecurities to the world at large. because you can't accept that you are not the very specialist boy in the room that everyone should look to and give kudos to, constantly stroking your ego. Surprise, surprise, the entire world does not revolve around your ass. So yes, there's a reason that fewer men are applying for colleges. There's a reason they're not the dominant force in certain industries, because women joined in, and these fragile men cannot handle that, which is sad. But it has negative impacts on society at large. And if with social media being what it is, it means a lot of women put up with crap that they don't need to. Then again, women pick up with crap every single day of their lives if they don't need to. And most men are completely oblivious to the fact that not only are women putting up with this crap, that they themselves are at the very least allowing this crap to continue if they are not actively contributing to that crap. Okay? If you're not calling out your male friends and family members for being sexist asshats, you're part of the problem. And I say this as someone who used to be part of the problem and now I'm striving to not be part of the problem. I have a lot of amends to make. So I strive to be a intersectional feminist, which will, that phrase alone, turn some people off from this video and my channel. I've had it happen. Just the phrase intersectional feminist can send some men screaming into the hinterlands because that terrifies them for some reason. The concept that people should be treated equally regardless of their sex or gender. I know, radical thinking. Um, but yes, male flight's a thing. We need to address it. Then again, we need to address a lot of problems that men have and they're not dealing with because they're not good about talking about themselves or seeking therapy or finding solutions to their problems. They would just rather blame women.